Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue-green globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live. It is a special Toxically Masculine Tuesday, and I'm your host, Mike Barra in Las Vegas, Nevada, joined, as I always am now on Tuesday nights, by the crew, by the other dudes, the other whiskey-drinking, cigar-smoking assholes that make up the best news roundtable on the show. There you go. There you go, Blake. There you go. Yeah, drinking a little Crown Royal tonight. I'm drinking some Crown Royal. Dr. Brooks Agnew, to my stage left, is coming from North Carolina, somewhere in North Carolina. Brooks, how you doing tonight? And what are you drinking?
I'm doing wonderful. Had a great day at the job site, and I am drinking coffee.
Coffee. Wow, that's exciting. Okay, kitty corner below that, joining us from somewhere in the deep swamps of Arkansas is Steve Doran, the trail boss, the Toxically Masculine Steve, the most masculine guy I know. Steve, how you doing? The future governor of the state of Arkansas.
Actually, we have changed that. We want President Trump to appoint me as a U.S. Marshal so I can go around and arrest people that these other homosexuals will not arrest.
That is an awesome idea, and he should also appoint me as Lord Commander of the Space Force. Lord Commander of the Space Force. That has to be me. And we're joined, of course, again, as always, by our intrepid cub reporter, TV's Blake Wally, somewhere east of California. Blake, actually, where the fuck are you tonight, and what are you up to? What are you drinking?
I am in Minnesota. I'm here with my at my handler's house.
At your handler's
my last
house.
full day here on vacation before I head back to the office in the studio next week. And tonight I am going to be drinking Woodford Reserve. Right.
Wow, nice stuff. Your handler, where did you meet her, and what's her name, and how much an hour?
We go back a long time. I can't get into too much of the details, but yeah, long time.
Oh, it is a her.
Seventh grade, I'm hearing. Okay, yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh, it is a her. Okay, all right. Well, I didn't know that.
I thought you were at like your dad's house or something.
Yeah, I was like he's hanging with Brian or something. And I thought, oh no, there really is a girl there. Okay, well, no, I mean, it's not that I didn't assume you had a sex life. I know you do. I just didn't mean to embarrass your girl there. All right, a little less jovial shiz and a little more reality.
Can I say something real quick, Mike?
Yeah, sure.
I want to publicly apologize to Rick for not getting his book out sooner. I did get it out today. If you're watching, Rick, it should be there by the end of the week.
Rick Norman, he is here. And you're welcome, Rick. That's awesome. Or you're welcome. I don't know. You get your book. Just shut up. All right, I don't know why I'm in such a good mood tonight, because the Republic is teetering on the brink. As we all know, the head of the Secret Service, I forget her name, Kimberly Cheadle. I keep wanting to call her Dawn.
Kimberly Cheadle, the Frito Bandito.
Kimberly Cheadle resigned today, finally. I don't know how she ever... After this embarrassing performance yesterday in the testimony before the Congressional Committee on the assassination attempt against President Trump, gosh, I guess this was it, guys. This was, you just went a bridge too far here. Here we go.
Does the Secret Service routinely record communications between and amongst detail?
Radio communications?
Any communication?
Email communications are captured, as well as text messages, and then depending on the detail, radio communications are recorded.
Does the Secret Service have recorded communications from the July 13th event?
We do not have radio communications from that day.
Does the Secret Service routine?
Okay, so this is the way things went over and over and over again. She kept being asked questions. Here we are, guys, 7, 8, 9 days later, and we still do not even know how many shots were fired at President Trump. How many shots were fired at him? Who took them? From where? There's lots of interesting video, and I wanted to even show you. It was so ridiculous. His testimony yesterday was so out of bounds and so ridiculous that even my girlfriend, my future wife, AOC, couldn't take it anymore.
So the notion of a report coming out in 60 days when the threat environment is so high in the United States, irrespective of party, is not acceptable. And I think it's very important to understand that. This is not theater. This is not about jockeying. This is about the safety of some of the most highly targeted and valued targets internationally and domestically in the United States of America. So the idea that a report will be finalized in 60 days, let alone prior to any actionable decisions that would be made, is simply not acceptable.
Wow, I couldn't want you any more than I do now, Alexandra. You're my girl, you're my future wife. Brooks, let's start with you. What did you think of this joke of a testimony yesterday? And now that we've got Cheadle gone, and make no mistake, she was thrown under the bus. She's a sacrificial lamb. Why don't we do Victoria Nuland? Why don't we do Kumswala Horis? That's her name, right? Kumswalahoris. That's how you spell the vice president's name, right?
Yes.
All right. What's next? And what do you think about this decision? And is simply resigning good enough for this?
No, resigning is not good enough. She should be charged with conspiracy to assassinate the president of the United States. She should be charged with obstruction of justice. They asked her for specific information. She refused to give it. She refused to answer questions. That's obstruction. She should be cited for contempt of Congress, have been arrested immediately and put in prison underneath Congress until she answers questions. We're not talking about embezzlement. We're not talking about sleeping with little boys or little girls here. We're talking about conspiracy to assassinate the president of the United States. Everybody involved should be in jail right now.
Okay, in all due fairness, I got a call yesterday morning from the mechanic. He is my former Secret Service contact. He's solved 128 problems for the United States government in his long and storied career. He's got a similar military background to Dr. Steve Doran down there, the trail boss. And he said, look, this is a bad look because you're beating up on this woman and she can't reveal certain things when there's an investigation going on. Now, I usually agree with the mechanic because if I don't, I'm afraid he'll kill me. And I do love him, but I don't agree with him. I absolutely do not agree with Steve. Yes, it's okay. The dog barks. Barkley gets upset too. It's okay. Steve, I want to go to you. What do you think about that performance yesterday? And if you're going to come before Congress, shouldn't you be prepared to answer a few fucking questions? Like how many times the guy shot at the president?
Absolutely. I mean, there's enough information out there that is public already that she can go over and reveal and discuss and that type of thing. But you got to remember, she was put in that position because she's best friends with Biden's wife, with Jill Biden. Yeah. That's the only reason that she got that job. She has no clue what she's doing. She's never been in a quote unquote law enforcement position. You know, she guards Cheetos on aisle 3. And so, yeah, there is a lot of stuff you can't reveal. But as, you know, a former director and chief of police myself, you can tell the public, okay, look, you know, we're looking into this. We can't reveal certain things right now, but we're going to give you everything we can. And then you can talk about things, as an example, that have already become public, like the recordings that were played, like the guy who did the recordings of the shots. You could discuss things like that. Well, there's a gentleman who did da da da. We are, you know, we based on the recordings, we assume that there were 15 shots that were fired from multiple locations. We're looking into that. Again, we can't give you any details because it's still under investigation. However, we will keep you posted as information becomes available.
But I mean, come on, they at least know how many shots were fired by this guy allegedly. And the fact that they're covering that up to me means that there were a lot more shots than they can account for with one guy, and that's why they don't want to tell us how many shots.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I mean, they're clearly covering it up because they have public information that they can actually talk about. It's not part of their confidential investigation. So there are things that they could be talking about. But again, she has no idea what she's doing. I don't look at her as a sacrificial lamb. She's a total moron. She has no idea what she's doing. She has no business being in that position. Or
just a DEI hire, yeah. Just a DEI hire, yeah. Diversity, equity, and inclusion hire. Oh, okay, TV's Blake Wally. You had to have watched a lot of it yesterday. What was your impression of the whole thing? And what I want to get to is you're the least suspicious guy probably on this panel. So do you think that this is a setup, that she was part of a conspiracy to kill the president, or is this just some sort of DEI hire incompetence?
No, I think she probably, until I know better, had something to do with it, and she's covering this up. And I think that maybe it's their own arrogance, their own hubris. They thought they could pull this off, and nobody would ask any questions. They'd pull it off so perfectly, and the media would cover for them. But then when things went sideways, now they're totally blindsided. They don't know what they're doing. But it's kind of par for the course to see some of these people, just play dumb. I did watch some of that on Capitol Hill. I did watch the Nancy Mace grill her, and it's extremely frustrating. I would disagree with the mechanic, and I would agree with Brooks, even though he's got that inside look at it. These people need to be held accountable. I'm so sick of seeing that smug look on Christopher Wray's face when he's like, "Oh, it's an ongoing investigation. We can't comment on it." Like, this is way beyond that. This was a pulled out. They tried to do an assassination on the president. I don't think they're going to give up any secrets. They should know how many shots are fired. They should know all of the analytics. Everything is there, and they're not. And she's just going to go, "Oh, I'm just going to resign, and now it's all going to go away." No, there needs to be more than this, and the taxpayers should have an accountability for these people that are representing us.
Yeah, I agree, Blake, 100%. And I think the reason why you do not know how many shell casings were found on that roof is because it will be more than the guy should have been able to get off in the time allotted. And what that means is they probably sat there and let him shoot 4, 5, 6, 7 times before somebody finally put one in his ear. That's what I think is being covered up here. And that means there were people who were in on it, because in the Secret Service and the FBI who were in on it. And that impression is mounting. I mean, even Tucker Carlson is starting to talk about stuff like that, because guess what, guys? There's now video footage of the adjoining room next to the rooftop where this guy climbed up and shot at the president, and everybody had a good look at him for a minute, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 minutes, whatever it was. This is the vantage point. The FBI was literally in this room looking over the roof.
We're not close. Yeah.
Okay. So that's one thing. And these were, by the way, released by Charles Grassley, the future interim president of the United States. This is another one from Chuck Grassley that he forced out with Freedom of Information Act. Here is footage from the rooftop, I guess minutes after the assassination attempt.
So we don't know. So this is the guy that
Body cam, by the way.
Yes, that they sent yes, Beaver County sniper team and sent the pictures out. This is him.
Okay. All right. Rifle's right there, obviously. Got it. So the bike in the back. Is he on that bike?
We don't know.
We don't know. So
I don't know.
Treating that as suspicious device.
Oh, 1 second. I believe the sniper that seen these and sent the pictures is right inside this building. Michelle, is Greg in there? All right, so if you go to that window that's open and yell for Greg, that's the sniper that sent the original pictures and seen him come from the bike and set the book back down and then lost sight of him.
Okay.
He's the one that sent the pictures out. I don't know if you got the same ones I did.
I think I did, yeah. He's like got his glasses on and he's
So if they've got body cam footage,
Okay, and then this is his bike with the
Which is more than you can see from the Las Vegas affiliate.
right. But if they've got body cam footage, then they have recordings of radio traffic on there.
okay, so and we have
So she
somebody
said they didn't
detained.
have recordings. They most certainly do.
That I don't know.
All right. Our guy that was just up here told me that there's a guy detained who's the owner of the bike. And I said, no, that's the owner of the bike. Yeah, basically when I got up
We've been up here, so we wouldn't know that information.
We just hauled ass. We got everywhere. We hopped up over it.
Do you notice how hard they're trying to stay on the roof because it's so steep? They're falling off.
Yeah, I noticed that.
They're wearing gravity boots. Yeah.
Yeah, they're wearing gravity boots like in the yeah.
Gas is off to the building, just so you know.
See if we get any more video of this guy lying on the ground.
Those people detained were filming. Maybe they were involved, maybe they weren't. Other than that, I haven't heard anybody. Well, I think, it's... The guys that saw them filming were like, oh, they were filming us, and then filming the guy up on the roof, and then filming us. And then when the shots started firing, they tried to run away. He's like, isn't that what everybody would do that have a phone? I'm not saying they weren't involved, but you know what I mean? Like that.
It's up in the air right now, right?
Right. So I got no problem detaining them. But again, I'm just trying to detain those guys, find out what they know.
You can hear the radio traffic.
I'm trying to get clear information to
Yeah.
back to DC. We have one shooter deceased. I think we have 3 victims in the crowd. Is that you guys hearing that too?
That I'm not sure.
So I heard 1 deceased, 2 life fighters.
But it was probably shut off during the event. They had everybody shut off their body cams and radios.
Hello?
Yep. See if we have any more. We're almost done here. We're almost out of it.
Any LE?
In the back.
Steve, here's one thing I want to ask you. You're right there. Right there.
Mm-hmm.
This is on the left side, middle left, is his leg. Okay, there's blood streaming down. That's his black tennis shoe just below the officer. And then over there is the rifle. And he appears to be laying in a direction pointing to screen right, the lower right. There's something that bothers me that I would like to ask you and Brooks. How does the rifle get that far away from the body when he gets
once they terminate the threat, quote unquote, somebody runs up there and they're going to grab the weapon and move it away until they make sure he's dead.
Right. And of course there should be body cam footage then.
Yep, absolutely.
There should be body cam footage of where the weapon was when they first went up there, which we also haven't seen, right, Brooks?
Yes. And there's one other thing about the weapon that most people don't know. Now, I know that Donald Trump Jr. said this was a 6-inch putt shot, but it wasn't, because little Tommy did not have a scope on his gun. He was shooting 140 yards with iron sights. That's a world-class shot. There's also records of him going to the rifle range on a regular basis with this rifle to practice with iron sights.
True, I don't see a scope on there.
There is no scope on the gun.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, keep going, Brooks. It's fine.
Well, the other thing is that not only was he practicing for weeks, but he was having meetings close to where he lives in a building that was known to be used by FBI for informants.
Mm-hmm.
So it's apparent that the FBI knew who little Tommy was. They were probably working with little Tommy, and they knew that he was training for this iron sight shot. By the way, the reason you don't have a scope on your gun, not so you can make a better shot. It's so you have a lower profile, so you're not easily spotted when you're trying to take a shot.
Steve, you agree with that?
Yes, that, and like I said, I'm not convinced that he took the shot. I'm not convinced that he fired one round. I mean, we know that there were multiple shooters from multiple locations, And you know, we don't know. We have no shell casings. I don't see any shell casings on the roof. And anybody who's ever fired a 223, it flings those shell casings, you know, quite a distance away. And even with that crummy video that we saw, we should see something somewhere.
Well, not only that, Sheila was asked multiple times, do you know how many shell casings were on the roof? She said yes. And they asked her how many shell casings were on the roof. She refused to answer the question.
But there again, it's like that should be, you know, all that should be on the video, all of it.
Well, we know from sound reports from multiple locations, the podium, one of the other cell phone cameras from a distance away, a cell phone camera close to it, that there were 9 shots.
Right.
3 shots, boom, boom, boom. Then a couple seconds, then 5 rapid rounds, pow, 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 pow. And then 1 shot after that. And the last shot sounded different than the 5 shots, and those sounded different than the first 3 shots.
Correct.
3 weapons, 3 different styles of shooting, 3 different distances, 1 dead guy.
Right.
But all 3 if there's 3 shooters, all 3 of them missed him.
There were 2 shooters that we know of. The third was the sniper killing the assassin.
Okay, let's go then to the
well,
next.
I mean, you know, the thing is, in any type, I mean, you're a shooter, Mike. Just because a guy is a world class, yeah, he shot me once. Yeah,
there you go.
But I'm just saying that, you know, people have good and bad days when they're shooting. Obviously, they're under a lot of pressure trying to kill the president. So, you know, that's going to cause them to make mistakes. But whoever fired the shot that hit the president in the ear obviously was a pretty good shot. And had the president not turned his head, it would have been a perfect hit.
Yeah. No doubt about it. And the other thing is, remember the police testimony that one cop gave another cop a boost. So he was elbows above the ridge of the eave of the building looking at Tommy. Tommy noticed it, swung his rifle around to him. The cop dropped back down to keep him getting shot. And 2 seconds later, Tommy swings around to the podium and takes his 3 shots, allegedly. That takes incredible control. That's buck fever.
I know it.
Times 10.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you know, for a 20-year-old kid who's basically been shooting for 6 months, to be able to do all that is almost, I mean, it's like a billion to 1.
Ludicrous. He was allowed in. Clearly, he was allowed in. We don't know where he got the ladder. Well, we know where he got it. He got it at Home Depot or something. But we don't know how he stashed it there, how he got it onto the grounds. He was spotted with the rangefinder. There's pictures of him there. Who owns the building the shooter was on? BlackRock, probably. I think that's come out, something like that, right? Who's, you know, CrowdStrike.
And he had a bicycle and he had 2 backpacks. One was obviously a rifle bag.
Right. And of course, multiple people were seen. Now, look, the other thing that keeps happening is they keep coming up with, there's more reports of a shooter on the tower. I believe on Sunday we played, well, was it Sunday or was it the day after? One of the shows we've already done. We played audio. We played the audio, the police audio, where they reported shooter on the tower, shooter on the water tower. We have a video we played of a lady saying there was a shooter on the water tower. Let's take a look at some of this video and see what we can see, some of the photographs. This is a photographic image of where shots would have come from. If there was a shooter on the tower, he would have been aiming at President Trump. It's weird. There's a lot of shots kind of being here. Witnesses.
He allegedly took shots at the snipers that were on the roof, which, by the way, were only put on the roof an hour before Trump appeared.
Right. And the thing, too, is, you know, Trump has already raised the question, why wasn't I warned about this guy, that there was a problem guy out there in the crowd? Nobody said anything. And some people are saying, well, you know, some people think that the guy on the roof was simply a decoy for this real sniper who was on the water tower. And it's like, okay, yeah, you can say that. But I mean, again, I just want to remind you of what this lady said.
Shooter shot to the left. He killed the gentleman in the water tower here. Now, when I called my husband at home, who's watching TV, sharpshooter shot to the left. He killed the gentleman in the water tower here. Now, when I called...
Okay, so she says sharpshooter to her left killed the guy in the water tower. From the water tower and the roof, you had pretty good angles, at least as good as JFK. Now, there's some other video. This is the top of the water tower. This is
a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
In the middle.
That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
He doesn't
that chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something.
So, again, I think there's a screen cap a little later where it sure looks like somebody straps a rifle to the back. It's so blurry, it's really hard to see anything.
He doesn't look like he goes down, though.
He doesn't look like he goes down, but also there's these reports from this guy who tracks, and forgive me, I don't have it with me right at the moment.
Tony
Saruga, who says that he's got cell phones. He's got cell phones of a guy that went down a zip. He went down a zip line, met up with somebody else. I believe they're both feds. I believe they're both FBI agents, and then went into a car that was registered to the Department of Agriculture and raced away down into the woods and then took off. What do we know about that? What do we think about that? Anybody? Blake, you know much about that? Should we start with you?
I haven't heard that one, but I mean, it's like when people are sentenced to death by firing squad and you have multiple shooters and only one active. It does appear like there were multiple shooters, and Crooks was going to get credit whether he got it or not, and they were just the easy patsy that they could pin it on. So yeah, that's going to have to be fully investigated to see how many shooters there were, and there's certainly some credibility in that until we know that we can rule it out. But it does appear that there were too many shots coming from different directions, and these are the really uncomfortable things, which is why things they don't want to answer, which is why the Secret Service lady had to resign. But it's not good enough. So it's just great to see this get pulled apart in real time, unlike what happened with JFK, without the citizen journalism and all the forensics analysis and all of the other just random people on Twitter that can piece this all together, and all of the eyewitnesses and everybody with the camera. It's not just Zapruder and a couple other people. It's everybody's got a video in their pockets. So this is glorious to watch.
And that's an excellent point. It took us probably 20 or 25 years after the assassination of John F. Kennedy to get to the point that we are here in terms of the information that we have, because everything had to go through the news media, and everything was paper and could be destroyed. Now this stuff is digital out there. It's replicated all the time. So maybe in real time we can actually take it down. Before I get to Steve on this, Blake or Brooks, what do you think of that video? And I'm going to look for a little bit more from Tony Saruga. But it looks to me like there's something dark and moving up on the top of that water.
Somebody in black combat stuff. And Tony Saruga, by the way, has access to, controls all of the video surveillance in the country. So he's got access to 160,000 surveillance cameras. He just came on the scene. He just decided he followed this white van, by the way, from Arizona all the way to Butler, and from Butler all the way back to Arizona. And it had inside it that FBI cell phone. That's how he tracked it. We don't know the identification of the FBI. We also know that day at 9 o'clock in the morning, there was a coordination meeting. I don't know what they call them, Steve, but they have some kind of departmental meeting in the morning where everybody coordinates. Here's the frequency we're going to be on. Here's what our job is. Your job is blah, blah, blah. Secret Service did not attend that meeting.
which is absolutely ludicrous.
Because they're in charge.
They're in charge of what's going on. They're the ones who tell you what time he's arriving. Where's he coming through? What gate is he going to use? What vehicles is he going to be in? Blah, blah. They're the ones who have all the info.
So a few days before this event, Jasmine Crockett initiates a bill to remove Trump's Secret Service detail.
Yeah.
Several congressmen jump on this bill with her. She's excoriated for it. But that doesn't stop Mayorkas from pulling Trump's Secret Service detail. They sent it to Jill and they sent it to Kamala, who were in Pittsburgh at the time of the rally. The snipers that showed up were not Secret Service snipers. They were HSI. They were rentals.
Right.
And they just came in just to cover the area. There was no coordination. The FBI didn't attend the coordination meeting. The Secret Service didn't attend the coordination meeting. This was not a setup. It was a conspiracy.
Okay. That is the question we're getting to. Was this incompetence or was this a willful conspiracy, an attempt on President Trump's life? I mean, we have Kennedy, we had a Kennedy coup, the Nixon coup, the attempted Reagan coup, and the Donald Trump coup now.
Well, with all the evidence that we have to date, there's absolutely no question that he was set up to be killed. I mean, there's no question. Just nobody followed procedure. Everybody, everything that they should have done, they didn't do. Everything they should have had available, they didn't have available. At least that's what they're saying.
Yeah, no metal detectors.
No, nothing. So, the reality of the situation is that they created a situation to allow, in my opinion, multiple assassins to get on that property and get vantage points to take out the president of the United States. I mean, with the way that place is set up, Whack-In Hut Security could have done a better job securing that facility with guards that have been on the job for 3 days than the Secret Service and all the law enforcement put together that were on site.
Yeah. Frito-Lay might have done a better
Yeah,
job.
Frito-Lay might have. She might have should have called some people from aisle 3.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a better thing here. All right, so that is your opinion as a security expert and law enforcement guy.
Absolutely. I mean,
Right.
nothing adds up. And the thing is, they're so arrogant. They thought they were going to get away with it.
Yep.
And they figured all of that stuff, none of this would come out.
Well, they thought he'd be dead. They thought he'd be dead by now, so they wouldn't have to answer these.
The only two people that really counted was Trump and the Patsy assassin. Once that person's dead, everyone else just clams up.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why Mayorkas and Ray and Cheadle need to be arrested for conspiracy to assassinate the president.
See, I agree with you 100%. But like with Cheadle, I don't think they told her anything. I think that they told her to, which again is a criminal act on her part by not taking action. But I think they just told her, shut your face, go over here. We're going to handle this and stay out of it. Because they're not going to give the Frito-Lay lady all that information. They're not going to do it.
Well, that's why they need to do what Mike said. They need to squeeze her with a truck battery connected to her nipples.
Well, I prefer waterboarding. It has a tendency to work a little quicker.
Yeah. What does?
Waterboarding.
Waterboarding.
Oh, really?
Nobody likes to drown.
Yeah. No, that
you can put up with pain, but nobody likes to not be able to breathe.
Wow.
I'll take your word on that, Mr. Doran. Okay, so Steve is definitely in. This was a hit. It was an attempted coup by the deep state, CIA, FBI, Secret Service against President Trump. Brooks, is that? I take it that's also your concurrence.
Oh, it gets bigger than that. I mean, just a few days later, Biden gets some bad guacamole at a Mexican restaurant in Las Vegas, and now he's out of the picture.
Right.
And he probably doesn't even know it.
We're going to talk about the next coup next. And TV's Blake Wally. What do you think, Blake? Is this a government hit on Trump, or is this incompetence by the U.S. government?
Yeah, I have a hard time believing that it could be that much incompetence. There's no way. These people are professionals. They're supposed to be professionals, but it sounds like they weren't really the normal Secret Service people. And yes, this was like a desperate maneuver by the deep state that backfired badly. And as Steve said, they were not expecting this at all. And now everyone's freaking out. But
Well, I mean, this is the kind of detail that you send when you know, like to Jimmy Carter, who's dying at home and never leaves. That's the kind of detail you send to him.
Yeah, exactly. And okay, and then an additional little point. The sudden and shocking death of Democratic Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. Well, it turns out she was part of the Secret Service Oversight Committee. It turns out she was intimately involved in all aspects of the Secret Service. And then suddenly she assumes room temperature just less than a week to 10 days after the assassination attempt against a man she hates like nothing else. Do you guys think the odds are that she was taken out to keep her from talking about what she knew?
Sudden pancreatic cancer. Yeah, we've seen that before.
Yeah, I've seen, people are diagnosed on like Monday and dead by Wednesday when you got pancreatic cancer.
That's true. It does happen that way. Blake, what do you think?
I'm lying. I was being facetious.
No, actually, that's not.
It's like prostate cancer.
It
lives for years with it.
It is one of the fastest ways to go, but that's why it's explainable that nobody even knew she was sick, and all of a sudden she's dead. TV's Blake Wally, what do you think about Sheila Jackson Lee's involvement in this?
Well, in light of that information, if she had a hand in pulling off this sloppy job, if she was actually in, the Secret Service department or oversight or what have you, she has no business being a part of that, and she would be too dumb to trust. So she could be seen as a loose end, and she's old enough anyway. They could easily dispose of her, and it would be whatever.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, the one thing about Sheila Jackson Lee is she is functionally illiterate.
Yeah, she's stupid.
Okay, she's a very useful tool of Alejandro Mayorkas.
Steve, you had something you wanted to say. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask Brooks. I mean, although I am a cancer survivor myself.
You too.
I don't know anything about that type of cancer, but I was wondering if Brooks had a little more insight.
Yeah, pancreatic cancer, the symptoms take you down months before you actually die. Yeah, it's not something that you just one day you're throwing back tequila and the next day you die. Everyone would have known. Everyone
that she was on her way out.
Yeah, she would have been having regular trips to the doctor. She would have probably been on part-time. I'm just telling you, it doesn't take you out like that.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys think that the CrowdStrike hack, which was basically CrowdStrike, folks, is just an internet security firm that's got their fingers in every aspect of the deep state, the dark web? I mean, if you want to find out about how, these perverts buy children off of the internet, it's through CrowdStrike. They are the deepest satanic part of the deep state. But do you think that somebody went in and either, I'm thinking they seized all of their information and all their records, or they did it to themselves and deleted all of their records? Blake, you got any thoughts on that? Deleted all the records. It would have showed that there was a conspiracy behind the scenes amongst government officials to assassinate President Trump. Blake, it has to be connected, does it not?
Yeah, that would certainly make sense. It is certainly within their capabilities to pull something like that off. And if they had incriminating evidence that could be used against them or their allies in the deep state, certainly they will do that. So, it's sad to see, and there's no oversight on that one either.
Yeah,
not like using an encrypted text app on your government phone. That wouldn't be involved. No. Not like having 3 encrypted foreign accounts for a 20-year-old. No, not like that. Not like
in a BlackRock commercial.
Yeah. And by the way, the BlackRock thing happened. It started during the convention, and it affected everybody except for Russia, that does not use Microsoft,
right?
Sanctions.
Right.
And it didn't affect anything that Elon Musk has, because he has purged CrowdStrike from every piece of equipment they have.
Yeah, and I think someday when the history of all this is written, we're going to find out it was Elon and Starlink that probably took down CrowdStrike in some way, shape, or form.
And don't you find it strange that the voting machines in Arizona stopped working? I thought they weren't connected to the internet.
They're not supposed to be.
They're not connected to the internet, yet they were taken down by the internet crash of the CrowdStrike internet crash. Isn't that fascinating? That proves voter fraud right there, ladies and gentlemen, in 2020. But I don't know if we're going to get anything out of it. Okay, so we have all this stuff. We also have this, of course, taking President Trump off of the headlines right as the heat was about to be applied to Kimberly Cheeto. Joe Biden announced, or supposedly announced, that he was not seeking re-election any longer. It was put out. We talked about this on Sunday when it happened. It was put out on non-presidential stationery, non-campaign stationery, with a questionable signature. And I've got some signature posts that doesn't look like it's his signature. It looks very different than any of his more recent signatures. And the question is, does Joe Biden even know he's withdrawn from the race yet? They, of course, immediately tried to swing everything over to Kamala Harris. And
almost everything.
And
he transfers presidential powers to the Treasury Secretary, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense. Wait a minute. These are cabinet positions. Presidents do not delegate their presidential powers to cabinet members.
Never.
That never happened.
Ever.
Well, the thing is too is that there were some posts from. Sorry guys, I spilled my drink. I guess I should stop drinking and streaming at the same time, because now I'm going to need a new keyboard. But that he's done this before. There have been other references a couple months ago, but it was he turned everything over to the Department of Agriculture to negotiate some sort of treaty with the Australians. So this is stuff that he's been doing. I don't know that it's unusual. I don't know for a fact that presidents don't do this, to delegate some of their authority to an authorized representative to negotiate on behalf of the United States. I don't know that, so I can't really say much of anything about this. But Joe Biden was removed in a Democrat coup because, let's face it, everybody saw the polls. Everybody knew he was going to get crushed. Everybody knew he couldn't stay in. But as we discussed on Sunday, he cannot simply not run. He has to be removed from the Oval Office, and that means President Kamala. Well, that would remove him from the Oval Office. So let's go back. Let's listen to Tucker Carlson talk about his version of the events, what he thinks happened. I think this was with Jack Posobiec. Yes,
that was a great
one of the. I'm not that surprised that the Democratic Party, which did not want Joe Biden in the first place, they wanted Pete Buttigieg.
That's right,
and they put Biden in. They knew he was senile. I knew he was senile because his sister told a friend of mine that. So if I knew as a right-wing talk show host, then trust me, every big donor. Jeffrey Katzenberg knew. I mean, come on, let's stop lying.
The Germans did this with Hindenburg in 1933.
Exactly. That's exactly
like this is the one guy who's kind of palatable, but we can control him,
exactly.
et cetera, et cetera.
So he was always late stage Woodrow Wilson. They knew that.
Yes.
All the surprise.
They liked that.
Bullshit.
Tucker,
of course they
Tucker.
did.
Joe Biden is not being pulled from the presidency because he has dementia.
Right.
Uh-oh. Mike freeze. Yep.
Jack makes a very salient point here. He was not pulled from the race because he has dementia. He was pulled from the race because he's not polling.
Yeah, I could very well be. I don't know what they're going to do with this guy, but
Mike froze, so
he'll
be
cover
back.
this whole thing up this whole time. So now they're getting exposed, and it's all unraveling.
Yeah, but it's unraveling slower than it's actually happening, and that's the frustrating thing.
Right.
Okay, sorry, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me finish this because this is I think a salient point by Tucker Carlson.
Pulled from the presidency because he has dementia. He's being pulled because the American people found out.
Well, of course.
They
right.
liked
and
the
he
dementia.
can no longer win. Right. So I'm not that surprised by what they're doing, and they're discarding him like a used condom. And I almost feel sorry for him, but he's such a nasty, evil person that it's hard to feel sorry. But whatever, I'm not shocked.
Nikki Haley was nicer, or Kristi Noem was nicer to her dog than they are being to Joe Biden
true.
right now.
But those.
Okay, so that I think was kind of an interesting exchange, gentlemen. And what I feel like Tucker Carlson knows something that we've all heard rumored about Joe Biden, Dementia Joe. And where are we? What are we doing here? Let's get it. All right. So let's get some opinions. Blake, I think Joe Biden is pure evil myself, because I know a lot of things about him that we don't even talk about on this show. But should the American people feel sorry for this son of a bitch, or should we celebrate his potential demise? Because the rumors started flying yesterday. Laura Loomer reported, and remember, Laura Loomer reported 2 weeks ago, he's had a medical incident on Air Force One. Guess what? Now other people like Charlie Kirk are saying there was a medical incident when he was here in Las Vegas. He was airlifted to, what's the hospital? Is it Bethesda? I don't know. He was airlifted back to D.C. right out of Vegas. Now it seems to be coming true. And she reported last night that he is in hospice and was not expected to survive the night. Now I'm going to go look for some video of him supposedly arriving in D.C. today. But she was 10 days to 2 weeks ahead of the curve 10 days ago. Is it possible she's ahead of the curve now? And don't they have to get rid of his character one way or another?
Yeah, I guess that's going to be something that's going to have to do with as far as ballot access. They seem to be kind of stuck with Kamala. But he's dead weight right now, so they have to flush him out one way or another, and it was coming sooner than we expected. So they tried to keep a lid on this for years, trying to think, oh, Joe is great, until the debate, and now everything is just unraveling really quickly now. They can't keep control of it. And yeah, the people would be outraged if they had any idea what Joe Biden has really been up to and heard that other side of the story. They would be absolutely disgusted. It's going to be a rude awakening at some point when people figure out that this has been just, it's also a drawback to being a puppet like this, because they can perform this coup. He never had anything to do with running his Twitter account, so they can just easily pretend he's just there as just sign things in other people's name.
Blake talks with his hands, and then we
Sorry, yes, it's a new microphone here. So where did if I lift off anywhere? But yeah, he's damaged goods, so it's time for him to go.
So let's look at footage of Joe Biden supposedly returning to Washington, D.C. today. I don't know if this is him. I don't know what this is. Let's watch it real quick.
Why did you drop out, Mr. President? Why did you drop out of the election? Was it a difficult decision to make?
You see the look on his face?
Why did you drop out, Mr. President? Why did you drop out of the election? Was it a difficult decision to make?
Does he even know, guys? Does he even know that he's dropped out? I mean, or is he just like, fuck you, I'm not going to answer that question? What do you think, Brooks?
Well, I don't really know. I don't think that it's registering. If that is Joe Biden, it's a perfect place for a double to move from one vehicle to another and not answer any questions. That's how you use a double in that kind of deception. But you mentioned, who Joe Biden is. Back when Clinton was elected and all this Mena, Arkansas cash was floating around, there was a connection that was made between the U.S. government and Ukraine, and they started laundering lots of money, like billions of dollars through Ukraine. Joe was the guy, he was the head kingpin, I guess, for setting all this up. And I know people in Ukraine at that time, and they said, everybody knows Joe Biden is actually the president of Ukraine. That's what they were fighting about. That's what the three factions in Ukraine were fighting about. And when Victoria Nuland did the coup and tried to assassinate Viktor Yanukovych, who, by the way, escaped with his life, he's still alive, living in Moscow. Joe Biden was the guy that was running all this cash. So when Obama came along, nobody knew him. He was a freshman senator from nowhere, and he had a bad name. I mean, a bad name. No one liked the name Hussein at that time.
Yeah.
He had to have somebody that could pull that amount of money together for his campaign, and that was Joe Biden. He didn't want to have Joe Biden as a running mate. He hated Joe Biden. He needed the money, and Joe knew it.
Okay, so he's going to address the nation tomorrow. Steve, does Joe Biden not only say I'm dropping out of the race, does he resign the presidency tomorrow? What's your guess?
I'm guessing he's not going to resign tomorrow. That would be my guess. I think he's going to say he's not running for president. And he may even talk about completing his term. But again, I just don't see Joe going quietly into the night. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, and certainly Jill doesn't want him to. Blake, what do you think? Do you think Biden, when he addresses the nation tomorrow, not only drops out of the race, but resigns the presidency and allows Kamala Harris to become the first female president of the United
East Indian
States?
president?
And
not yet. I think he's definitely going to try to finish his term, if at all possible. So it's already bad enough.
Blake, Brooks. Brooks, what are your 2 cents? Do you think that
I definitely think he's going to hold on to the presidency. That's if they are using a double and they are using AI voice to make it up. That's exactly why they're doing it. They want to hold on to it. Harris is already being prepared for articles of impeachment. And don't forget the lawsuit that's coming to question her eligibility under her rights of citizenship, because she's native born, not natural born.
Right. So what they've done now is they've moved Kamala Harris into position to get the nomination and possibly to assume the presidency before they even go to the convention next week. I mean, it could happen. Joe could absolutely resign the presidency, in which case I would suggest to everybody that you guys be ready if that's what he does in the address tomorrow, because I think we ought to talk about it. She basically was anointed as the nominee basically over the weekend, and she miraculously raised $80 million, the most ever in one day. That's because billionaires, somebody's got they use like 400,000 different names, or many different names with these, because you can only contribute small amounts. Basically, there's people out there now that are saying my name is on this list of donations, and I didn't donate anything. So what they did is what the Democrats have been doing all along, which is you launder money through ActBlue, which is their super PAC, and through Ukraine. I guarantee you, this is why CrowdStrike was taken down, because some of this Kamala Harris money is coming from our tax dollars in Ukraine. And then they say, well, this person contributed and that person contributed, and it's all done electronically, and it's all just as fake as the 2020 election. Brooks, am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. They've already caught them doing it. They go and interview these people and say, well, you gave $20 11 months ago. Did you give 1,100 more times $20? And they say, no, I don't have that kind of money. Well, we have on record here that you contributed $20 1,100 times. And the list goes on and on and on. Well, that's exactly what they did. This billionaire contributed $1.6 million in just a few minutes through 400,000 different donor accounts. And these are people that are previously given. Some of them were first-time donors, and they have no idea that they're donating.
Yeah.
This is a steamroller that nobody can keep up with.
Blake, what do you think about this Kamala Harris candidacy? Do you think she has a prayer, or are we looking at her being replaced even before or during the convention by somebody who's got a better chance of winning?
I don't know. I think they're kind of stuck with her. And a quick note, I do want to say that my handler did predict, and I have it documented from Wednesday, saying that Biden would drop out and that Kamala would set a fundraising record, and he was absolutely right.
Wow.
I do also want to say, yeah, I mean, she's tied to that the money. So if they get rid of her, they have to start from ground zero and do everything all over the place. So they're stuck with her, and now they're trying to prop her up like they wanted her all along. And so it's just they're playing pretend right now. But nobody wants Kamala. She's awful to work with. There was articles over the last few years of how staffers have to leave. It's like a rotating carousel. No, she's very bad news, and she's dangerous if she gets into power. But they might be stuck with her, so they just have to try to find a proper running mate, I guess. So.
Yeah, Jen says they're going to put her in there, and they're going to make her write all these executive orders to try to set things up to steal the election in the fall. Brooks already talked. Steve, do you think they're going to get away with that again, or will some miracle come in and stop all this? I don't know. You're a godly man. You know?
I am praying for a miracle. I mean, you're not going to stop. You know, these people have been doing this for so long, and they are so arrogant that, you know, they think that they can get away with anything that they do at this point.
Yep.
So I do not believe, I mean, I totally believe that there is going to be extensive voter fraud come November, if there is even election. I'm on the fence at this juncture whether we're even going to have an election. But that being said, you know, if people think that because of everything that's transpired that they're not going to try to stuff the ballot box, they're sadly mistaken.
Okay, so we also had an incident. War is justice denied. Thank you. I'll put that in the chat. We also had a situation yesterday where Kamswala supposedly did a call with Joe Biden, right? And she said, you know, it's great, Joe, it's great to have you on the call. She started to say recording. She ended up saying call. And now there's been some analysis done that indicates, so let's go to that indicates that this may be, in fact, a fake AI recording. Let's listen to this video real quick.
I know yesterday's news was surprising and it was hard for you to hear, but it was the right thing to do. I know it's hard because you poured your heart and soul into me.
Okay, let's just go on old 11 Labs and see if that's really all they probably used for this. So, upload. There we go. And let's see what we got.
98%.
Yeah, looks like they didn't even really try.
So there's a product called 11 Labs that apparently creates AI audio, and the software itself says that there is a 98% chance that Joe Biden call was generated with 11 Labs. So it's AI, it's not him. So we gotta end on another question. We've gone on for a while here. Blake, let's start with you. Is Joe Biden even still really alive? Was that him today? Was it old footage? Is it all a movie? What do you think? Is Joe Biden really still alive? Yes or no? And sorry, let's not say Joe Biden. Let's say the guy who's been pretending to be Joe Biden for the last 3 years. Go ahead.
Just to pick one, I'll say no. I mean, he's been a puppet the whole time. He's not really there anyway, but now they just can't prop him up anymore. So yeah, this has all been ridiculous. You can't do that with like Trump because Trump writes his own tweets. He does his own stuff. He can show proof of life. He loves to be in front of the camera. But like this is a medical emergency, and then he disappears for a while. Then they do this thing, his signature's wacky as he's like resigning or not going to run next time. There's no real press conference. Like something's very off. So, and there was all those hot rumors that he was sitting in a hospice somewhere. Like something is really bad, and they're just trying to push him across the finish line, but they still might not even make it.
Yep. Steve Doran, do you think that Joe Biden has assumed room temperature, or do you think he is still with us?
I think he's still with us at this point. I don't know what kind of shape he's in, but I think he's still with us. I mean, let's face it. Every time, in my opinion, again, that he has appeared and it's him. They have him so heavily medicated, he can hardly move. So it's very feasible that they're doping him up to go from the plane to the car and that type of thing.
Yeah. Brooks, is Joe Biden still with us, or is he assumed room temperature?
I think that while he was in Las Vegas, I'll float a conspiracy theory. I think the Mexican cartel poisoned Joe Biden. He had a reaction, started to go down. Could have been fentanyl, could have been bad guacamole, but I think they took care of him. And I think they were trying to get him to a local hospital, and they realized, no, this is much more serious. Let's fire up Air Force One, which, by the way, takes about 40 minutes.
38 minutes.
Cold start. And then fly him all the way across the country. They said Johns Hopkins, according to Charlie Kirk, but it wouldn't have been Johns Hopkins. It would have been Bethesda. And sure enough, 3.5 hours later, there's a NOTAM, which means no air traffic over the certain area so that the Air Force One can land. All this coordinates. I don't think, and there's an ER on Air Force One.
Yeah.
I don't think Joe Biden is alive. If he is alive, he's comatose.
And I will also say that it is 39 minutes, which is the exact amount of length of the press conference that Donald Trump gave after things broke down with the negotiations with Kim Jong-il, because there was a suitcase nuke threat from Osama bin Laden. A $100 million contract was put out on him. 45 minutes after Air Force One lifted off, 39 minutes, and then boom, Trump was gone back on Air Force One and in the air. He had to stall for 39 minutes. That's why he had the press conference. So that is absolutely correct. And Osama bin Laden assumed room temperature about 3 months later. So we have all this stuff. And by the way, Charlie Kirk did not report that. Initially, it was reported by a Twitter account called Breaking 911. So Charlie Kirk is kind of like, oh, I'm hearing this and that. Well, yeah, all you do is read Twitter a week ago Saturday, and you would have known that this stuff was out there. So, all right, guys. I don't know. I think we have to sit back and wait and see what Joe says tomorrow night. I do think it's going to be entertaining. Any final thoughts from anybody? Let's start with Steve. You haven't gone first yet tonight. Steve, any final thoughts on what to expect in the next few days or between now and next Tuesday?
Well, I think we're going to see more information come out on the Trump shooting. People are diligently getting a hold of all these audios and videos and going through them frame by frame. So I think we're going to have a lot more information on the assassination attempt. All we have to do, we'll wait and see what Biden says tomorrow, if it is Biden or his double. But, again, just like with the Microsoft outage, look for more situations are going to occur that are similar, where, you're not going to be able to access information. You're going to need cash if you want to get gas, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So, just like we say every week, just, be careful, keep cash in your pocket. Don't let your gas tank get empty. Know where you're going, know how to get out. Make sure you got some groceries in the house. Don't be doing this Mike Barra stuff where he goes to all these elite restaurants day to day and has nothing to eat at home.
Do not sit with your back to the door.
Correct. Know how to get out.
Yeah.
He's right. I was at a conference last week. It ended on Thursday. Friday, I was driving back. Of course, the CrowdStrike thing hit. No gas stations in the state of Florida would take a credit card. I had to use cash. I had cash on me, but it took me 4 hours to get from St. Petersburg to the freeway.
Wow.
And the ATMs were empty.
Yep.
So go figure. It goes out. The ATM, they didn't even fill the ATMs.
But did you pat Julia Kamen on the booty for me?
I did see her. I had lunch with her, and no, we did not make physical contact.
Yeah. All right. TV's Blake Wally. What was the question? What was the out question? I forget.
Yeah.
We already did
final
it.
Words. Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, keep a lot of cash just in case, because you never know if they shut down. Or as Steve says, they won't even refill the ATMs, and have like small change because not everybody's going to be able to make change for your $20 bills.
That's right. Don't have hundreds.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to get stuck with that. Physical silver, all that good stuff. Yeah, and just soaking in these historical times. So people are going to be talking about this week or month that we've endured for probably hundreds of years if we survive. This civilization survives. So
it's
epic times. Yeah.
Probably 2,000 years, probably since the time of the Roman Empire. Blake. So I will say this. Hugh did say there will be blackouts. Jennifer Falad Doreen, my co-host on the show tomorrow, I'll be back tomorrow morning with her at 1 Eastern, said it's going to be blackouts in certain places. It's not going to be the entire world or the entire country. It's going to be blackouts in selective areas where there are military operations going on. And I just wonder if there may have been some military operations, although I'd sure like to see some video of unusual military operations. Like, remember that scene in LA in 2017 when the chopper team lands and the hazmat suits and they come out and they go into a building which is owned by not BlackRock but the Democrats or something, and they bring something out which is probably a small nuke. You remember that?
Yep.
That's the kind of stuff I want to see. That's the kind of stuff I want.
That's really weird that the helicopters actually landed on a city street in LA.
Yeah.
And people caught it on video.
Or is this a training exercise? It's just a training exercise.
Yeah, they do that all the time. Before I moved out of Phoenix, they had a big training exercise that involved all the special operations groups, but it was just training. They weren't doing anything.
Right. Nothing real. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you for being here on Toxically Masculine Tuesday. We love you. Glad to have you here. I'll be back tomorrow with Jen on the usual Real News Live show. We'll get the latest from on high as to what's going on. And I'll probably be doing Whiskey and Wisdom with the original Mark Z again tomorrow. TV's Blake Wally. You got a show Thursday with Brian, most likely. Is that correct?
Yeah, we might do one live in Louisville as I head back home from Minnesota.
And haven't decided yet whether you're going to go to Chicago. And Dr. Brooks Agnew, when is the next X Squared radio show?
Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on AmericaFreeRadio.com.
America's Free Radio. And Steve Doran's not going to do anything except raise baby goats, right, Steve?
Well, right now.
You got nothing going. Yeah.
I got nothing going right now because I'm like trying to feel what it's like to be retired, but I'm not really retired.
Every day is Saturday.
But raising baby goats is a noble pursuit, Steve. So.
It is a noble pursuit, but I like to do other stuff as well. And even though they're cute and cuddly, it does get old after a while.
And what are their names again? The three baby goats you just had on your ranch?
Allie, Buster, and Seabass.
Allie, Buster, and Seabass. I prefer Pickles, but Allie is okay.
I know, but Seabass is like the star of the show. Everybody runs to Seabass because she's the smallest and the cutest.
You know, Dave has a cat named Seabass, right? So that's him right there. That's a watercolor of Seabass. You knew that, right? So
no,
it's short. Generally, it's short for Sebastian. So
no, I didn't know that.
It's like a nickname, and it's funny because you named the goat that we wanted. A girl that I know who loves animals wanted to name Allie Pickles, and her name is Allie, and you named the goat.
Well, let's tell the audience the truth. First of all, Mike will literally hammer you to death till he gets his way.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I said, look, we had somebody who named the one little goat, and we had somebody name one of the other goats.
Those names were dumb.
You can pick one name, and he's like, no, this is the names I want. Blah blah blah, and he did it. So we were like, fine, that's what their names are going to be.
All right, guys. Thanks for being here. I'll be back on tomorrow. Everybody have a great week. Watch Blake, watch Brooks, watch Steve, listen, and be prepared, gentlemen. In case Biden does resign the presidency tomorrow, we may be compelled to do 30 minutes again like we were Sunday night. Blake, don't be too drunk tomorrow night when you're watching it, okay?
Try to
well, you know how you can tell when Blake's a little off. His hair isn't perfect.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
Not perfect. If it's perfect, you know, he's
and
like,
Blake definitely has the best hair in the group. All right,
He
guys.
does.
Thank you.